Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Good morning. Today is March 2nd. March 2nd in the year 2023. Hello, hello. Hello, hello, how are you? Marcus Conte reporting. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's a Thursday. Today is Thursday, if you haven't heard. Am I the first person to tell you it's Thursday? Do you know it's Thursday before you wake up or when you wake up? Do you say it's Thursday? Or does it matter? Does the day of the week really matter? I don't know. Just a thought. So, two stories. Good morning. My name is Marcus Conte. Reporting today on Thursday, March 2nd, in the year 2023. Good morning, everybody. Weevil Girl in the house. Jim Gerard. Zoot Suit Cooter in the house. TJ, what's up? Clayton Burgess. Vinny D. Martini. Weevil Girl is here as well. Everybody's here. Chris Milk, good morning. Good morning. Jay Knoll. Good morning, everybody. Welcome, Posse. Welcome, Posse. Two stories caught my attention this morning. One is the classic movie Gone with the Wind. Now, have you ever seen Gone with the Wind? Gone with the Wind, just for the record, is one of the highest grossing movies ever. Highest grossing movies ever, Gone with the Wind. And it's a story of these wealthy Confederate white people who lived their lives, and part of that life living included owning servants, black slaves, right? And so one would think like, well, it depicts slavery, so therefore cancel it. And it turns out the movie wasn't canceled because it depicted slavery. It was canceled by HBO and the like because it wasn't racist enough. It didn't depict slavery as being as brutal as it actually was. So it's kind of a conundrum there. It's either too racist or not racist enough. Any discussion of race is therefore canceled by the fanatical left, who perceives documentation of the past like a movie, like Gone with the Wind, and set in the 1930s. Or it was made in the 1930s, but it was depicting 100 years before that time. Fanatical left says, no, you got to correct that history, and the way you correct that history is by canceling the history before it. That's the stupidity of censorship. Why do you want to make Gone with the Wind go away? Right? It's a shitty old movie. It's a Clark fucking Gable, and it's my grandparents would get joy out of watching that. For us, it's kind of historical perspective, not so much on the era or a time of slavery in America, but how the people of the late 1930s, early 1940s and onward perceived slavery. Why do you want to make that go away? Now, if you're a smart person, if you're an academic in a college, you don't want it to go away, but you want to hold it up as evidence for your ridiculous ideas that it doesn't depict slavery as it was. And because I say so, it should. You're not allowed to make a movie about racism or slavery unless I agree completely with the interpretation of the historic context of slavery. Your movie, Hollywood, must be, contextual, in context with how slavery was as I perceive it. Right? Now, why don't these people just shut the hell up, right? and enjoy a old-fashioned movie by old-fashioned people, so we can get our arm around what is actually being said in the movie. Nonetheless, this is controversy right now. HBO cut Gone with the Wind. I think they're bringing it back. But Gone with the Wind, kind of harmless movie about, uppity white people in the South. Right? Why is it getting cut? And also, it appears now, I believe it has always appeared, but it's appearing now more to the medical profession that their antidepressants, their fix-all medications that have very, very little effect on psychology, on psychiatric psychoses, right? They give these suppressants that put people into a state of stupor rather than the opposite, like psychedelics, like mushrooms or always go with the synthetic. Let's call it what it is. Shrooms, right? There's mushrooms that grow out of the ground in the world, and they have this psilocybin. They have a substance in the shroom that creates a psychoses, a psychological effect. And some people find it not only pleasurable, but life-changing, right? Now, that's a direct threat to the medical profession that says you must take 2 pills a day. Take 2 pills or take 3 pills a day with water and meals, and sit there and drool on yourself and talk to a psychiatrist about, I don't know what. You're already drooling. What you forgot what you were talking about anyway. You can't think straight. As opposed to dosing someone and waking them the F up. Pow! You take that mushroom, and suddenly you see the portal to God, right? The whole world opens up. Your consciousness expands. You feel euphoric and blissful and wonderful, and everything suddenly makes sense in a heartbeat. And then all of a sudden, the opposite side of that is pending doom and nothingness and fear. Right? You go through this whole series of emotions, but the point of it is that big pharma, who obviously can engineer these types of medications. And it's not that hard. Just grow goddamn mushrooms and let people have access to it, really. But can certainly create environments where people can safely use these substances and cure. I'll use the word cure and or solve their psychological problems, right? Because most drugs, most drugs that are designed to help people overcome these psychological dilemmas do not work. They don't work. They don't get any, tangible result. The person doesn't feel better. That is the point, to offer the person relief from the psychological anxiety. And the other part of the psychedelic argument is that psychedelics have a very, very low incidence of physiological harm to the body. Unlike something like Adderall or Ritalin or fucking whatever else, man. Whatever else these toxic drugs that people swallow. But the negative physical effects, the physical withdrawal, the physical malfunction of, whatever, pissing too much and high blood pressure. The psychedelics have very, very little, if any, of that. Right? So they offer far more in terms of psychological reward for the patient who's seeking relief. as opposed to the garbage they're currently shoveling down people's throats because the former psychedelics is not allowed to be spoken because it's bad. Right? The context is 60s hippies and Timothy Leary and people jumping off buildings and speaking directly to God. That's not allowed. You're not allowed. Nobody wants to see anybody. Nobody wants to see it. Mikhail Sly says, taking mushrooms is like being in the mindset of a baby. You're seeing everything for the first time. Yeah, I mean, everybody's experience is different. If that is your experience, seeing things fresh and new, that is the definition of enlightenment, by the way. That nothing really changes in the world. You change. Your perspective, the position to which you're viewing it changes. And that's what psychedelics, even, low doses of THC can do that. If you take a puff of a good quality marijuana and you're experiencing that as well. And that's probably a safer way to go, an experimental direction, because it only lasts for an hour or two, as opposed to shrooms that could go on and on for 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours. You're still fucking, what the fuck? But yeah, that newness and freshness, that's a good point, Mikhail. Always be fresh. Yeah, I don't think you necessarily need substances to do it. I would argue that you don't need the substances to do it. You need to develop mindfulness, and then maybe the substance can help you go into that direction. So I got a video queued up. We'll watch that, and we'll see it. So here's my clip today. Good morning. So you got shrooms, right? So this is a clip from Gone with the Wind. It was the blacks were blacks in that movie. They were historical black slaves that got trapped in Africa and rounded up, and then the Europeans got blamed for their misfortune. But in America, no escaping it. That much of America was built on the back of black slavery, black labor. Not all of it, but a lot of it was. A lot of the cities were built by that. And also, mostly it was a lot of the black labor was service oriented. I don't really know. I don't really study it much. But America had slaves, and there are people that walk the planet today in this country that insist that is the reason for their misfortune, all of it, and because you're the color of our oppressors from 200 years ago, it's your fault. So there's a lot of misconceptions there, but there are. People's view of what it was. And I believe that Gone with the Wind clearly captured the view of the 1930s in America as to what really happened, right? What really happened, right? So we'll look at that. And website. I got a website every morning, 9 a.m. 9 a.m. we're here talking about things like this that matter. Things that matter in people's lives. People wake up in the morning. They don't know if it's Thursday or Friday or Tuesday. Right? They don't know what time they're going to take their shroom dose. Go into the future. What time? Honey, did you take your shrooms? You seem uptight. Why don't you go home? Why don't you take your shrooms? Have you taken your shrooms yet? And for the record, shrooms can be grown for pennies. They grow in the dark. You don't even need goddamn electricity. You can grow it in your basement. For free. Anyway, so I have a website every morning, 9 a.m. We're live talking about these hot subjects, and every evening, every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m., we have a weekly Dharma gathering where we talk about, I guess, psychological the psychological effects of mindfulness meditation. I put that in front of everything. I think that to offer someone psychedelics in a controlled setting and not inform them of mindfulness and the ability to actually witness mind as something separate is a it's malpractice, right? You have to, the doctors, see, the problem is that a lot of therapists and medical profession people don't really understand mindfulness, meditation. And what is that? That is developing one's mind as a muscle and strengthening it to be able to deal with whatever appears. Right? That's what it is. And it's an ongoing, lifelong pursuit, which leads to what some call enlightenment. But anyway, to not inform and or even know what the hell that is, and then say, here, try these shrooms. This will make all your problems go away, is right up there with old-fashioned drug dealing. You got to give people the whole picture. So anyway, man. Let's start here. I also have a way to fund this program. Do it through Zelle. It's right here. Zelle. Donate through Zelle at shorthappylife.com. If you're going to take the meditation challenge on Tuesday evening, consider donating at least $1. If we're still making a call out, shout out to any billionaire out there that would like to make a game changer in their own life and technically hire this reporter as your meditation instructor, for lack of a better word. Consider making a larger than $1 donation, and when you see the results of the meditation after 90 days, you can dig in deep. So let's start here.
What did you think when you saw that?
I don't know what this is, but look at this. Look at this. These are, so you imagine you're fishing one day and you're fishing for tuna fish, and look at all these sharks. Hey, look, this is nature. This is not brutality. You see a lot of red spots. Those are the those are the tuna getting eaten. And so you're out there fishing, and two schools of fish collide. You got the sharks and you got the tuna fish. Right? Who's going to win? You don't know who's who, right? The tuna or the sharks. Are those the tuna or shark? You don't know. They're about the same size, but I imagine the tuna are slightly smaller. And usually you see the fish that's getting attacked, you usually see them jumping out of the water. But that's fascinating, right? Imagine you're on a boat and you see this. It's like Wild Kingdom, man. It's amazing. I like it. I love looking at that stuff. I mean, you don't want to see that. You feel bad for the tuna fish getting mauled, but hey, listen, that's what sharks eat, man. That's what they like, Got to give some kudos to Eli Lilly, the great big pharma pusher of medications. Is slashing prices for insulin drugs by 70%. That is amazing. Now, you have to give kudos to the people that instigated that. And who are those people that instigated the slashing of prescription medications? Was it Trump? Or do we have to go one step further and look at Bernie Sanders? Where's Bernie? Bernie and Elizabeth Warren and a couple of other, quote, progressive Democrats have been fighting for this for years to get the big pharma, mother effers to lower the prices of insulin, namely insulin, where it's kind of a mundane medication at this point, insulin. If you have diabetes, you take insulin. It equalizes your blood glucose levels so that you don't go into shock from too much sugar in the blood. So insulin has long been known to satisfy ongoing diabetes. Now, I believe there is a cure for diabetes, and that is diet and exercise and rigorous exercise. I mean, like training. See, when your body is sick, you have to retrain. You got to retrain yourself. If you're fat and lazy and your heart is pounding out of your chest and you're smoking and you're drinking and you're fucking doing all kinds of shit that's making you unhealthy. You've got to let go of those things and train yourself. Literally, go out to the mountaintop and run. Right? Go run. Right? But as a healthy second to taking care of yourself, and if you're dependent on insulin, like many people are, there's two types of diabetes. There's childhood diabetes that you get right away, and then there's a adult onset. Right, that's the one we're talking about. That's the problematic one, the adult onset that can be 100% reversed through diet and exercise. But nonetheless, Eli Lilly and Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, Pfizer, they've been hosing people for years, charging crazy amounts of money for their medications that are, people are saying, well, I can't afford a whole dose of insulin. I'll take half. That's, despicable and it's unhuman, right? We're supposed to take care of other humans. And so massive under pressure. I don't think Eli Lilly is doing it on their own, but under congressional pressure, they have now vowed to slash the cost of their top-selling insulin drugs by 70%. And capping the price of the medication vital to millions of Americans who suffer from diabetes, capping it at $35 a month. That's it. So that's good news. That's good news if you're insulin dependent. Hopefully it'll spill over into other life-saving medications, although I would argue that there aren't many. Let's watch Homeboy stab somebody. Man, give me my fucking money, man. I got a knife in my hand, man. I need a beer. Motherfucker, this shit is fucking racist, man. You're just looking at me because I'm black. Just because I'm black. Yeah. That brother walks out of the store, man. He didn't get his beer for free. Right. Why don't you slash your prices of beer, right? People abusing beer or fucking alcohol. Why don't you slash that by 70%? Right? How about it, Budweiser? Make your fucking piss water, 10 cents a glass or 10 cents a bottle, so people can get the relief. So this is good news. I don't care what you say about Biden and the progressives and Bernie and all those people. They pushed for this and they got it. They finally got big pharma to bend the hell over, right? So big pharma can be influenced by Congress. There's no doubt about it. A lot of people are celebrating this right now. Eli Lilly would not have gone in this direction if not for congressional pressure. No way, no how. So you get your insulin, cheaper now, and that's the way it goes. Good for those, good for the people. Scary article. Quickly, bomb found stashed in checked luggage at Lehigh Valley International Airport right here in the great state of Pennsylvania. So a PA man was caught in an airport trying to sneak a bomb onto a flight to Florida inside his luggage. Mark Muffley, 40, was due to... so they found the shit in his here he is. Mark Muffley, 40. Tried to smile. He's a Muslim. He's an Arab. He's a radical. He's a terrorist. Mark, what the hell were you doing with a bomb on the plane? That's scary, man. He had all the tools. He had it was like a 3-inch pipe bomb with lighters and can of butane, wireless drill with cordless batteries. I don't know. The article doesn't say if he was prepared to blow up the plane, but why, when they finally tried to get him, they found the shit in his onboard luggage, the luggage that goes under the plane. He didn't have access to it. He just checked his luggage. And then they paged him, and he took off. He ran out of the airport. But it makes you wonder about, you got to be careful at these airports now. This is in Pennsylvania. This is not in, in fucking, in Saudi Arabia, wherever, Israel, wherever people get on the plane with bombs. Well, they get on the plane with bombs here. That's a miscategorization. But nonetheless, a Pennsylvania man got on a plane with a bomb. New York Post reporting about it. That happened yesterday. So let's talk about Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind, the great movie. My grandparents watched it. If I ever, when I was a kid, if I had seen Gone with the Wind, I don't know if it was ever aired on television as a kid. I can't remember. I don't know, at some point, did you have to pay to go to the movies to watch it? Certainly when, in the 1930s, when it came out, that was the only way to watch it. The only way to watch it was to pay money, right, and go to the movie theater and sit there and watch it, which also speaks to the economy. Who is your audience? Right? Do the nice, proper white people who are preparing for World War II against the Germans to liberate the Jew, right, do they really want to talk about historical slavery in this country, or do they want to let it go, water it down a little bit? Who was the target audience of Gone with the Wind? Was it racist, radical blacks that hate white people, or blacks looking for sympathy on slavery? No, it was white people who had the money to go to the movie theater. So. Anyway, ridiculous stories for ridiculous times. Original Gone with the Wind script reveals secret war over slavery cut scenes. So the gist of the article is that there were some people, because the movie is, the backdrop is the Civil War and Reconstruction of America after the collapse, after, Lincoln emancipated the slaves. That's the era of the movie. Trying to talk about it, right? And so what the hell was I saying, right? So yes, far enough to depict the racism that was in effect in the Civil War era, post-Civil War era, and some are saying it goes too far just by simply mentioning slavery, right? Let's not make the movie about slavery. Let's make it a love story about him and her, right? And you can't even say him and her anymore, right? Because that's sexist. Right? Whew. Wow, it's getting hard to speak. It's getting hard to speak out here. You can't speak without offending somebody, right? This fucking shit is dope, man. So film buffs are sure to give a damn about this revelatory piece of the movie. Let's watch a little piece of the movie, right? Shall we? Are we allowed to watch a little piece of the movie? So here's Gone with the Wind at the Confederate Ball. Maybe I'll shut down the audio. Oh my God, they got a Confederate flag. You better turn it down. You better turn it. Look, they got the Confederate president. Well, I forgot his name. Okay. Look at all those white people. Look at all the white people. There's Clark Gable, the protagonist. Oh, there was a slave. You saw a slave? Where's the slave in the background? You saw a slave? Oh, shit. Oh, shit. There's the slaves, man. Them slaves. Let's listen.
Oh, what lady is that? Oh, Mrs. Charles Hamilton.
Ooh.
Mrs. Charles Hamilton. Mrs. Hamilton.
So look at all the white people out front, and then all the blacks behind. Why are all the blacks? Because they're indentured. They're not allowed to be at the party. But anyway, you get the gist of it. It's an old movie. It depicts the Confederate, and such. So look, it's history, man. It's a bunch of filmmakers, some Hollywood, dick smokers that put the video together, put the movie together. They got a budget and they made a movie in the 1930s. So what, man? So what? They were trying to look at the psychology of people who make movies. Do they really care as much about telling a story that they deeply believe in, or making money? It's making money. Movies are not made for historical pacification. They're made to entertain people. People who pay to come see the goddamn movie. And you'll say, well, only white supremacist racists go to see a movie like that. Therefore, everybody that went to see the movie is a white supremacist racist because it caters to their psychology. And no blacks were allowed to go to the movie or wanted to go to the movie because it was anti-black and it distorted the view of slavery. Look, get over yourself. Just relax, blacks and people that Gone with the Wind irritates. Just get over yourself. Relax, breathe, know that you're alive, and as important to note that slavery currently doesn't exist right now, nor does the 1930s and 40s perspective of slavery. Both of those things are gone. They are gone. They are gone. They are gone with the wind. What you have in front of you is a different scenario, totally different scenario, where the pendulum has shifted the other way. White people don't care anymore about your struggle. They understand your struggle, but they have their own struggles, and then nobody's bringing your struggle up but you. Right? And every time you bring it up and accuse somebody else for your misfortune, you're throwing gas on the fire, literally. So the article talks about, let's just read it. The big budget blockbuster, set against the backdrop of civil war and Reconstruction, has long been criticized for sanitizing slavery, with HBO Max noting in a new disclaimer, quote, "It denies the horrors of slavery, as well as its legacies of racial inequality." That's what HBO is forced to say. The woke fuckers that got in the door there, promoting their version of racism against, the current white people walking around the planet, are saying that it denies slavery. That's like a bunch of Jews standing up saying, oh, that movie wasn't, Schindler's List didn't give Jews enough credit for whatever. Right? Who the hell are you? Who the hell are you, black racist, to dictate what a Hollywood producer produces his art in 1939? How dare you try to dictate what that guy can do for a living? Right? This is a free country. He has an opinion, and he targets an audience so he can make money in a movie. He doesn't have any responsibility to be historically correct. Right? What the fuck is historical correctness anyway? Right? It's all perspective. It's all mush. Right? And it's you who's getting all worked up about it. If someone made a movie today that just the opposite of it, right? If you just made Gone with the Wind and you cast all black, all the whites in the movie, if you just cast them blacks with blacks, and you took all the blacks in the movie and cast them white, what would be would white people be offended by that, or would they laugh at it? Say, oh, look at let's see the whites were the slaves. See that? Shut up, blacks. You had all the power. Right? It's a movie. It's when you're critiquing art, which movies are. The authors of movies are not responsible for history. It's like the Beatles said that. Like, they asked John Lennon, are you responsible for the 60s counterculture? They look to you as like a god. And John Lennon says, no, I just write songs. It's fun. Dylan said the same thing. I'm a song and dance guy. But movie makers, the Jews of the 1930s who made movies out in Hollywood, they're not allowed to do that. They're not allowed to have they're not allowed to go after their target audience. Historian David Vince Kimmel is now revealing that several writers pushed for a more realistic depiction of race relations, only for their dark, disturbing, and violent scenes to be cut from the finished product. So the money-grabbing Jews who made the movie in 1939 based on the 1936 novel watered it down. They took out the most disturbing and violent scenes for whatever reason, because nobody wanted to look at it anymore, right? Nobody wanted to look at that shit anymore because it's the past. It's gone. And you want to say that the movie should be canceled because it didn't show the brutality that you want, right? And then the same people that will watch a movie where there's overt harm being done to the poor black slave, then they'll say, well, cancel it. Nobody wants to see that anymore. So you can't have both. You can't have both. You can't water down a movie because it didn't show enough of a reality that you say, a reality of slavery, and or it didn't show enough of it, or it showed too much. See, you don't get to pick that. The artist gets to pick that. And I'll call the money grabbing Jews of the 1930s, 39, and in Hollywood, money grabbing Jews, because that's what they were. There's no doubt about it. And they're artists too. That's what I wanted to say. I'll call them artists. Oscar-winning film, which follows the strong-willed Georgia Bell's Scarlett O'Hara, though it has sold more than 28 million copies. The tome has come under fire as evil for perverting our our national vision of slavery. A national vision of slavery? What is that? What is your national vision of slavery? That all white people today are inherently racist because of the treatment that certain blacks were put under by certain whites of a time gone by, right? Do you understand that there's time in between those things? The people that were born now are not those people, although in your eye you see them as a white person similar to those persons, right? They're different, right? That's your distorted perception. And because that is your perception, you then proceed to treat the white people as not liking you and racist. See, that's your perspective. Nobody can change your perspective. You don't go out and force people to make movies that cater to your perspective because that's the way it's supposed to be. Right? If you don't like the movie, don't watch it. That's always the anecdote. Don't watch the fucking movie. So in 2020, Kimmel paid $1,500 for an incredibly rare shooting script originally belonging to the movie's casting director. They found out through the scripts that didn't make it, the scenes in the scripts that didn't make it, that the movie was in fact watered down, and for that, they wanted some. Again, there were two camps: romantic camp that wanted it to be a romance of the old South, right, and the realists who amped up scenes of mistreatment to highlight the brutalities of slavery. So those were the two camps. And the romantics won out, right? The romantics beat the realists in that argument for making a film about this era, right? That's the history of the movie. The movie has a history, right? Why don't you look at that and let the movie be? Let the statues of Christopher Columbus be, right? The people here, I'll say it again, Nobody here, nobody alive today ever met Christopher Columbus. None of them. Nobody alive ever met fucking Abraham Lincoln. Right? Nobody ever met Kunta Kinte. Right? Isn't he one of the big old slaves? I got a fly in here. It's spring. The flies are springing. The flies are flying. Right? Well, you see my point, right? So the romantic camp won out. Who's this guy? This is Sleesnik. I told you they were Jews. Look, a fucking golden ring, and it's got look, a fucking sleazy Jew. He's a sleazy Jew out in David Sleesnik. The fucking Jew named himself Sleaze. Hey, my name is Sleesnik or Jewnik. Fucking Jews, man. Meanwhile, screenwriter Sleesnik. I don't know what else I want to say about this, but there's Clark Gable. He's too white. Look, he's got a black slave. The black looks well fed. Look how fat she is. Look how fat those cheeks are. She's like a little pig. Right? He's meating up. He's beefing up the pig. Right? Pouring her a drink. Or is he pouring himself a drink? Who knows who he's pouring a drink for? But 1930, how times have changed. How times have changed. Gone with the Wind will return to HBO Max with lecture on racial themes. Ha ha ha, that's how we'll do it. So Black America has a solution for you. We've got a solution for you. Gone with the Wind is coming back. HBO Max will again start streaming the controversial slave-era movie with a lecture about the racial themes that first got it pulled. All right, so there'll be to watch the movie. Now you've got to watch. You can't watch the movie. You can't have an opinion of the movie. You can't watch the movie and formulate your own opinion. No. That is not allowed. You have to watch our trailer first so that we tell you what's in the movie based on our racist perspective, right? Right? You're not allowed to make up your own mind. You can't just watch the movie. What if you watch the movie and you don't understand what you're seeing? And right? How stupid do they take people for? Someone can watch a movie and say, oh, this is pretty interesting. Historically, it doesn't ring true. It seems a little watered down. And anybody could watch that and say it. Yeah, slaves were pretty brutal. But it seems like that's not the story. The story is more the romantic times of the Deep South after emancipation. That's really what it's about, right, the movie. But the slave fuckers, they don't want you to look at how well off and how well acclimated these white people were, how wonderful they were as actors, if you like that style of acting. Clark Gable, he got more Hollywood ass than anybody, man. Clark Gable, remember him? And she's hot. I don't know. Vivian Leahy, yum. Clark was getting some premium, you know what I mean? Right? So there's the imagery, very, very white. Look how white they are. They're all white. Yeah. I'm going to watch it. I'll watch the movie again. So, but it is, so a couple more comments here. But it is precisely because of the ongoing painful patterns of racial injustice and disregard for black lives that Gone with the Wind should stay in circulation and remain available for viewing, analysis, and discussion. Wow. Now, you know what I always imagined? I always said to myself, movies and video and sound recording and photographs are a wonderful depiction of history. See, we didn't have that prior to, 100 years ago. Right? Sound recording, video recording, we didn't have any of that. Now we have it. And I always thought that, oh, wow, that's a great way to document history. But you see how radicalization, they want to make it go away. They don't want you to see Gone with the Wind. right? You'll get people that say, "Oh, those are racist. Those are racist movies, man. You're not allowed to watch those shits anymore. You got to watch the new shit because this shit is all racist, man. That was white people trying. That was a bunch of Jews trying to get white people to the box office so that they can make money on the back of the poor black." Could be one interpretation. Right. What else? Gone with the Wind is a prime text for examining expressions of white supremacy in popular culture. Whatever. Right now, people are turning to movies for racial re-education. If people are really doing their homework, we may be poised to have our most informed, honest, and productive national conversation yet about Black lives on screen and off. Well, I agree with all those comments, except for again, it's okay to watch Gone with the Wind and come away with, that's white supremacy on screen, man. You see it? You see how the whites are supreme over the blacks, right? You can come away with that understanding of it. Or you can come away with the deeper understanding of it, is that it's a bunch of, fucking sleazenick Jews in Hollywood making movies for fucking, uppity white people that like to sit in the box office because the blacks didn't have enough money to go see the movie, right? But anyway, there's a lot of ways to interpret it. That's my interpretation of it. So let's watch I think I ran over on this. Let's just watch a little bit of this psychedelic movie.
As a scientist, I do my best to F it up by trying to describe it as much as I can, so I'll go ahead and do that.
Please do, doctor.
Our society has been in a mental health crisis, and it's been stagnating. A large portion of people treated with traditional antidepressants don't see benefit. Psychedelics are the only drug class that I know of where you have not just one or two, but lots of stories of people saying they took this thing one time and they say it had this profound impact on the course of their entire life.
See, that's devastating to the medical profession. You take something once and you're done. No. We don't like that. We don't like that plan. Right? We want you to take it every day and come see us every day for the rest of your fucking life. Right? That's what big pharma needs. And if this psychiatrist out of Johns Hopkins' PhD, Dr. Matthews, is correct, and you can dose people and solve and/or unwind their psychological dilemmas in one dose, you've got a game changer right there, because they don't need your shit anymore. The psychiatric field is done. Maybe not done, but renovated, right? It should be where people can not go to the pharmacy and get their mushrooms, but be able to cultivate and/or buy and then sit in a comfortable place where they can experience the mushroom without prosecution, without fear of that they did something wrong. That's a big problem with drugs. But anyway, let's watch.
They really exploded on the scene in the 1960s and were associated with some really radical changes to society that really scared a lot of people. I think now society is more ready to kind of accept these compounds and the whole picture of them.
I don't think so, doctor. I don't think society is ready for it. I think people, I'll change that. I think people are ready. Society is ready, but you still have, again, the money, right? With the movie situation, right? Money, the people making money on psychoses and your pain is big pharma and big medical, right? They don't want that. They don't want something that actually works. It actually, a fucking person was like schizophrenic and depressed and angry and fearful, and they took some mushrooms and they sat out in the high grass, and the fucking problems went away. It went away? Right? You're not depressed anymore? One dose?
I'm Matt Johnson. I'm a professor of psychiatry at Johns Hopkins. I study drugs, principally psychedelics.
This is what the future of writing looks like.
You're
Introducing Word-Tuned Spices.
Sorry for the commercials.
It's hard to imagine a more interdisciplinary topic in the realm of drugs than psychedelics. They've apparently been used for time immemorial throughout many different cultures on the planet. Kary Mullis won the Nobel Prize inventing PCR, which revolutionized biology. He said he wouldn't have been able to do that had he not had experience in taking psychedelics.
See, the beauty about psychedelics, the beauty about psilocybin, whatever, however you pronounce it, magic mushroom, is that it can be grown for pennies. It grows out of horse shit and cow shit. It's easy to grow. You don't have to do anything to it. You just grow it and put it in a bag and sell it to people for cheap, or let them grow it themselves. Right? See, that it eliminates a lot of the bullshit, that the regulation. No. See, the mushroom knows just how much fucking hallucinogenic to put in itself. Right? Just like the flower of THC, it knows it doesn't need some medical jackass to extract and concentrate and redefine what it is. Just take the flower. Just consume the mushroom as it is and leave everything else alone. Right? You see how that excludes Big Pharma. They don't want that.
You move into the arts and then, who hasn't heard of musicians and other artists claiming that psychedelics had a profound impact?
Like anybody watching this that has ever experienced mushrooms even once knows that it's an earth-shaking, eye-popping experience where you suddenly everything you kind of believe as being factual, any argument, any political situation you might have had, for at least a few hours goes away. It's not like you care about that, because you discover something far more interesting than your own stupid opinions. You realize that there's something greater there that connects us all. And you stop worrying about racism and sexism and fucking white supremacism and all this other nonsense that you're thinking about, spending all your time thinking about. Just sit back and kick back and listen to Stevie Wonder and the fucking Beatles, man.
Impact on their creativity. There's the Beatles before LSD, and then there's the Beatles after LSD. That's a big shift. The initial big wave of that scientific interest for psychedelics was in the 1950s. So this was about a decade after Albert Hofmann had first discovered the psychoactive properties of LSD. Mm-hmm. There was a group in Maryland called the Spring Grove Group, a lot of early research there, particularly with cancer patients. But I would say one of the most important groups in the history of this work was led by Abram Halfer and Humphrey Osmond in Saskatchewan, Canada. They were really the first group that I would say developed what we now call psychedelic therapy. There was this growing appreciation of some of the risks and the safeguards needed to minimize those risks, but not every investigator was aware of this. There was some...
because, again, I'm not going to play the whole video. It's an 11-minute video if you want to watch it. I just dropped the link into the chat if you want to watch it. But he makes Matthew Johnson. He makes the effects, the positive effects on people receiving this type of treatment, and he makes the biggest point, in my opinion, is that it's not just the substance. See, if you hand somebody substance without a context, meaning that you consume this thing and you're gonna feel a sense of enlightenment, and then you make a container for the person to be in, a place that is happy and safe, where people feel okay about what they're experiencing. They're not vilified for what they're experiencing. Look at you. Your mind is a fucking mess. You're seeing things. You're seeing ghosts. They're not really there. Your perspectives are all fucked up. You're a drug addict. You're gonna die, man. You're gonna die. Who'd you buy that shit from, man? That's illegal. You got some illegal shit in your pocket, man. Get out of my car. You got to get out of my car because you got that illegal shit in your pocket. You get all that hysteria. You see how fucked up that is? That during Prohibition, that's how it is. Everything's illegal. Everything is bad. You can't take that. It's bad for you. You got to change that first. You got to let go of that. You got to let go of that as you experience the substance, right? First, right? Oh, I got a history of addiction. Well, that's fine. That's fine. That is your perspective, right? But container is very important, as I'm trying to say.
Unethical research, some wild research. There was controversy surrounding Timothy Leary, especially after he was fired from Harvard.
Turn on, tune in, and drop out.
Psychedelics became so associated with the counterculture. Society was, in a sense, traumatized. It all came to a halt. I mean, there were researchers that were running sessions and got the notices they just had to stop. The rug is pulled out for decades before there's a reinitiation. The research that's happening now, a lot of it is exploring medical applications.
Yeah, fuck you and your medical applications, doctor. Sorry. I mean, he is a doctor, Dr. Matthew Johnson, but you don't need these people to help you do this. You need to learn. I say, do it in a meditation setting, right? Where people are relaxed, where people are able to witness mind as it is, right? And do that for a while. Do it for a few weeks or a few months, and then the psychedelic experience will be amplified, and it helps you to separate that insane thinking from reality. Right? That's what happens in psychoses. People are intimately invested in this crazy thinking. They think they identify it as me. This is me. I'm crazy. I'm fucking nuts. But when you quiet down, you see that, well, maybe you don't. The ego and or the personality doesn't go completely away. What it's replaced by is authenticity. The authentic person emerges, absence of the ego, AKA that's how talent arises, right? So using these substances is not it's not a stroke of ego. It's I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I get some mushrooms. Fuck this shit.
These are all drugs that can have a profound effect on one's sense of reality, including one's sense of self. I think kind of the only bet you can make is that if you have the dose high enough, something really interesting is going to happen.
I'll leave it there, man. Something very interesting is going to happen. So excellent review. I believe that if you're going to go in the direction of psychedelics or mind-oriented medications like shrooms or cannabis, that it shouldn't be in the medical profession. It's not something that they understand or are good at right now. They don't get it. They don't understand it. So why are you going to them to get it? Oh, because it's controlled and we control it. That makes the argument for legalization. By legalizing, you take the power away from these crackers. So anyway, let's do a quick look at the market. And I'll let you guys go. The futures were down, and Nasdaq is down 47 this morning. Dow Jones Industrial Average up 101. S&P 500 flat. And looks like we got a mixed open at 10 a.m. There's new earnings coming in. I don't want to talk about the stock market today. I'm all pumped up on the other thing. That was good. That was a good talk, man. It was good. To them, hey, man, Conti. Conti's gonna get his teeth fixed one day. So thank you all for joining me. Give yourselves a hand for dealing that. I hope don't rush out. I mean, this is not an advocacy for psychedelics at all, or certainly. It's a good idea. I got the idea, right? This is how you do it. Right? This is what you do. Right? You go to Netflix or you get a bootleg copy of Gone with the Wind, right? Gone with the Wind, uncut, without an introduction, a racist introduction, right? And you sit down there and you get your mushroom cap and you swallow that shit, and about an hour later you sit there and you watch Gone with the Wind. Right, and maybe you film yourself watching Gone with the Wind, and you have yourself a great experience, right? Because that's how you do it. Right? You trip your balls off, you trip your ass off while you're watching Gone with the Wind. Man. Marcus Conte reporting.